Back in 1998, they were gods among men. Anthony Hopkins and the stunning Zeta-Jones brought the Mask of Zorro to life and became eternal symbols of passion and justice. But the masks eventually came off, and real life showed no mercy. What followed was a slow, heartbreaking downfall that no one saw coming. Careers crumbled, beauty faded, and some of these once untouchable stars are now so changed you'll struggle to recognize them. The price of fame has never looked this cruel. These transformations will hit you hard. Click play before you regret it. Anthony Hopkins as Don Diego de la Vega. Born on December 31st, 1937, in Margam, Port Talbot, Wales, the esteemed actor brought immense gravitas to the swashbuckling genre in The Mask of Zorro, 1998. At the age of 60, Hopkins's portrayal of the aging legendary hero who escapes captivity to train his fiery successor became a massive commercial and critical triumph. His performance added an emotional weight and theatrical dignity to the film, helping to revitalize the classic adventure genre for a modern audience, while cementing his status as a highly versatile leading man capable of commanding action-oriented blockbuster roles. Despite effortlessly portraying composed, authoritative, and noble figures on screen, Hopkins's early life was often marred by intense internal battles. In stark contrast to the disciplined and wise Don Diego, Hopkins struggled with severe alcoholism and a volatile temperament during his youth, describing himself as an insecure loner who felt alienated from others. Professionally, he felt out of place in the prestigious British theatre establishment. Finding the repetitive nature of stage acting agonizing, he clashed with traditional directors and famously walked out of a national theater production mid-run, creating early career turbulence. Even after finding monumental success in film, he battled the persistent threat of typecasting, working tirelessly to avoid being permanently defined by his terrifying Oscar-winning turn as Hannibal Lecter. Having overcome his personal demons and maintained strict sobriety since 1975, Hopkins has enjoyed an extraordinarily prolific and acclaimed later career. He has continued to challenge himself with deeply complex roles, famously becoming the oldest person to win the Academy Award for Best Actor in 2021 for his profound performance in The Father. At 88, he remains an active and beloved figure in the entertainment industry, balancing acting with his lifelong passions for composing music and painting. From his home in California alongside his wife Stella Arroyave, he has also embraced a surprisingly joyful chapter as a social media presence, frequently sharing lighthearted videos of his piano playing and dancing that endear him to a new generation of fans. Antonio Banderas as Alejandro Murrieta. Born on August 10, 1960 in Malaga, Andalusia, Spain, the charismatic actor first brought the iconic vigilante to life in the 1998 blockbuster film The Mask of Zorro. At the age of 37, Banderas's portrayal of Alejandro Murrieta, a scruffy bandit who transforms into the legendary swashbuckling hero, became a massive cultural sensation. His performance breathed new life into the classic swashbuckler genre and cemented his status as a global superstar, offering a vital depiction of a heroic, romantic Latin leading man in mainstream Hollywood cinema that was both deeply impactful and wildly entertaining. Despite the character's fierce confidence and extroverted bravado, Antonio Banderas is introspective, profoundly dedicated to his theatrical roots, and often described himself as a grounded craftsman rather than the Hollywood sex symbol he was made out to be. This contrast was a significant part of his personal journey. He found the heavy expectations of the Latin lover persona to be creatively stifling. His early American career was marked by the daunting struggle of a severe language barrier, famously forcing him to learn his initial English-speaking roles phonetically. He also faced the professional hardship of being heavily typecast in action and romantic roles, which for a period made it difficult for him to find the complex dramatic work he truly desired in the United States. Antonio Banderas continued to work prolifically in film and theater for decades, famously voicing Puss in Boots in the Shrek franchise and earning an Academy Award nomination for his deeply personal turn in Pedro Almodóvar's Pain and Glory. Following a life-changing heart attack in 2017, he shifted his priorities, moving back to his hometown of Malaga to found and personally finance his own theater company, Teatro del Soho. At 65, he remains a vital and highly respected force in the entertainment industry, balancing international film projects with directing and starring in stage musicals. Although divorced from his longtime wife Melanie Griffith, the two share a daughter, Stella, and remain close friends while Banderas enjoys a quiet, creatively fulfilled life with his partner, Nicole Kimple. Catherine Zeta-Jones as Elena Montero. Born on September 25, 1969 in Swansea, Wales, the classically trained dancer and actress made her breakthrough American debut with this swashbuckling adventure. At the age of 28, Zeta-Jones's portrayal of the fiery sword-wielding Spanish noblewoman Elena Montero became a massive cultural sensation, instantly catapulting her to international stardom. Her undeniable charisma, breathtaking beauty, and electric chemistry with Antonio Banderas captivated audiences, making Elena an unforgettable cinematic heroine and establishing Zeta-Jones as an A-list leading lady in Hollywood. Despite playing the fiercely confident and rebellious Spanish aristocrat, Zeta-Jones was a down-to-earth Welsh woman rooted in the disciplined world of British musical theater, privately harboring vulnerabilities quite opposite to her fearless on-screen persona. Professionally, her immense success in The Mask of Zorro brought the distinct struggle of being typecast. Hollywood repeatedly sought to box her into exotic beauty or femme fatale roles, which made it difficult for her to be recognized for her true dramatic and comedic versatility. As her career progressed, she faced further professional hardships, taking prolonged hiatuses from acting to manage her well-documented battles with bipolar II disorder. The relentless tabloid scrutiny surrounding her mental health and high-profile marriage often made it difficult to find the right work and maintain a consistent Hollywood presence during her struggles. Catherine Zeta-Jones ultimately shattered the confines of her early typecasting, going on to win an Academy Award for her role as Velma Kelly in the 2002 musical Chicago. She built a lasting marriage with actor Michael Douglas, whom she wed in 2000, and together they raised two children, Dylan and Karis. In recent years, she has enjoyed a prominent television resurgence, taking on highly visible roles such as Morticia Addams in the hit Netflix series Wednesday and appearing in National Treasure: Edge of History. At 56, she remains a deeply respected figure in the entertainment industry, balancing her iconic acting career with lifestyle business ventures and her continued advocacy for mental health awareness. Matt Letscher as Captain Harrison Love. Born on June 26, 1970 in Grosse Pointe, Michigan, the versatile actor developed his craft on the stage before landing his breakout cinematic role in The Mask of Zorro, 1998. At the age of 27, Letscher's portrayal of the ruthless and cold-blooded Captain Harrison Love became a defining moment in the swashbuckling epic, offering a terrifyingly unrepentant villain who stood toe-to-toe with Antonio Banderas. His performance as the sociopathic military officer captivated audiences, turning the character into a memorable and formidable cinematic antagonist that significantly contributed to the film's massive critical and commercial success. Despite playing such a sadistic and bloodthirsty villain, Matt Letscher is known in real life as a warm, kind-hearted family man and a deeply dedicated stage actor, the polar opposite of the cruel Captain Love. This contrast highlighted his impressive acting range, though his breakout performance also cast a long shadow over his early career. Letscher faced the challenge of being typecast as the quintessential antagonist, which initially made it difficult for him to be seen as a traditional leading man. Furthermore, his career was marked by professional frustrations in television. Despite delivering consistently strong performances, he weathered the premature cancellations of numerous critically acclaimed but short-lived series such as Almost Perfect, Living in Captivity, Good Morning Miami, and Eli Stone. Matt Letscher continued to build a prolific and enduring career in both television and theater, eventually earning a dedicated new fan base for his iconic role as the villainous Eobard Thawne Reverse Flash in The Flash and Legends of Tomorrow. Alongside his acting, he became an accomplished playwright and director, maintaining his deep roots in the theater community. He married his wife Jennifer, and together they raised 2 children while navigating the unpredictable nature of the entertainment industry. At 55, he is a respected veteran of the screen, successfully embracing a transition to paternal and complex supporting roles in shows like the Suits L.A. spin-off, and continuing a resilient, decades-long legacy. Stuart Wilson as Don Rafael Montero, born on December 25, 1946 in Guildford, Surrey, England. The classically trained actor stepped into the swashbuckling world of 19th-century California opposite Antonio Banderas and Anthony Hopkins. At the age of 51, Wilson's portrayal of the aristocratic and power-hungry governor became a defining element of the film's massive success. He delivered a sophisticated antagonist dripping with ruthless charm and malice, helping to revitalize the classic adventure genre and providing a formidable villain that perfectly grounded the movie's high-stakes action. Despite the character's grandiose menace and extroverted cruelty, Stuart Wilson was a much more unassuming individual, a dedicated, stage-trained Shakespearean actor who appreciated a quieter life far away from the Hollywood spectacle. This contrast highlighted the primary professional struggle he faced throughout his cinematic career, being heavily typecast. Following his breakthrough in American cinema, Wilson found himself continually boxed into the charming European villain or corrupt authority figure archetype in blockbuster action movies. While it provided steady work, this strict typecasting restricted him to antagonistic supporting roles, making it incredibly difficult to land the diverse heroic or emotionally varied parts that he regularly played on the London stage. Stuart Wilson eventually transitioned away from major Hollywood blockbusters, returning to his roots in British television and the stage. In the 2000s and 2010s, he took on recurring and guest roles in popular series such as Midsummer Murders, the espionage drama Spooks, and the 2014 pirate series Crossbones. He also consistently returned to the theater, performing in productions for the Royal Shakespeare Company and various independent theater groups. Maintaining a deeply private personal life alongside his wife producer Courtney Pledger and their 3 children, he has largely stepped back from the limelight. At 79, he is alive and living a quiet, low-profile life fondly remembered as one of the most reliable and magnetic character actors of 90s cinema. Tony Amendola as Don Luis. Born on August 24, 1951 in New Haven, Connecticut, the Italian-American actor first brought Don Luis to life on the big screen in the 1998 swashbuckling hit, The Mask of Zorro. At the age of 46, Amendola's portrayal of the corrupt and affluent Spanish aristocrat, a loyal ally to the villainous Don Rafael Montero, helped ground the film's central conflict. His authoritative presence contributed to a cinematic touchstone that successfully revitalized the swashbuckler genre for a modern audience. The blockbuster film became a massive cultural and commercial success, offering a classic tale of justice against oppression that resonated globally and served as a foundational pillar for late 90s action cinema. Despite frequently embodying oppressive wealthy aristocrats and rigid authoritarian figures like Don Luis, Tony Amendola is known in real life as a warm, down-to-earth, and philosophical individual with a passion for yoga and Italian cooking. As the first in his working-class family to attend college, he initially intended to become a lawyer before discovering theater. This sharp contrast between his humble, thoughtful nature and his on-screen villainy highlighted a significant challenge in his early career. After moving to Los Angeles in the late 1970s, Amendola faced a long period of professional hardship. He struggled for years to find steady work and dealt with the frustration of being heavily typecast based on his distinctive, swarthy features, often finding himself relegated to playing one-dimensional ethnic villains, cartel bosses, or strict authority figures. Enduring the grueling and unpredictable audition circuit tested his resolve as he had to navigate decades of minor television guest spots before finally securing the substantial, multifaceted character roles that would showcase his true range. Tony Amendola continued to work extensively in television, film, and voice acting for decades, cementing himself as a beloved figure in the science fiction and fantasy communities. He became a fan favorite for his long-running role as the Jaffa Master Bratak on the sci-fi series Stargate SG-1, and charmed audiences as Geppetto on the ABC fantasy drama Once Upon a Time. He also became a highly sought-after voice actor, providing the iconic voices of Archmage Khadgar in the World of Warcraft franchise and Jedi Master Eno Cordova in the Star Wars Jedi video game series. Beyond sci-fi, he appeared in successful horror films like Annabelle and The Curse of La Llorona. At 74, he remains active in the entertainment industry and enjoys a quiet, fulfilling personal life, residing in Los Angeles with his wife, Judith Marks. L.Q. Jones as Three-Fingered Jack. Born Eustace Ellis McQueen Jr. on August 19, 1927, in Beaumont, Texas, the veteran actor brought decades of cinematic experience to the screen before taking on his memorable part in the 1998 swashbuckling hit The Mask of Zorro. At the age of 69, Jones's portrayal of Three-Fingered Jack, a grizzled and unforgettable outlaw bank robber, became a cultural highlight of the film. His weathered classic cowboy persona offered a depiction of old-school Western grit that was both engaging and highly significant to the movie's atmosphere. As a master of the frontier genre, his impeccable timing and rugged presence helped ground the high-flying action, making his character a fan-favorite element of the movie's widespread commercial success and its triumphant revival of the Zorro mythos. Despite the character's gruff, unpolished, and criminal nature, L.Q. Jones was intensely intelligent, multi-talented, and described by those who knew him as the polar opposite of the unsavory outlaws he so famously portrayed on screen. This contrast was a significant part of his personal journey. Behind the scenes, he was actually a highly skilled writer, producer, and director. His career was also marked by the struggle of being heavily typecast as a Western heavy or henchman, which, for a period, made it difficult for him to land leading roles or break out of the genre. As the traditional Western declined in mainstream popularity, he faced the professional hurdle of finding steady acting work in a changing Hollywood, ultimately pushing him to finance and direct his own independent projects, most notably the award-winning 1975 sci-fi cult classic A Boy and His Dog, to escape the creative constraints of the industry's casting expectations. L.Q. Jones continued to work in television and film for decades, raising 3 children and remaining a highly respected veteran of the industry. He took on memorable supporting roles in prominent films such as Martin Scorsese's Casino in 1995 and the survival thriller The Edge in 1997. Throughout the 2000s, he remained a beloved figure in cinema, making his final acting appearance in Robert Altman's 2006 film A Prairie Home Companion. Jones passed away at his home in the Hollywood Hills of Los Angeles on July 9, 2022, at the age of 94 from natural causes. His death marked the end of an extraordinary 7-decade career and was widely mourned by fans and filmmakers alike, with the industry celebrating him as one of the last great defining figures of classic Western cinema and a legendary pillar of director Sam Peckinpah's iconic acting ensemble. Victor Rivers as Joaquin Murrieta. Born on October 1, 1955, the Sancti Spiritus Cuba native first brought the legendary bandit Joaquin Murrieta to life in the 1998 blockbuster The Mask of Zorro. At the age of 42, Rivers' portrayal of the fierce outlaw and older brother to Antonio Banderas' Alejandro served as the emotional catalyst for the film's entire plot. His character's tragic on-screen demise at the hands of Captain Love became a memorable touchstone within the action-adventure genre, providing the heartbreaking motivation necessary for his brother's transformation into the iconic swashbuckling hero Zorro. Despite portraying a hardened, gun-toting bandit driven by vengeance, Victor Rivers is intensely compassionate and described by those who know him as the polar opposite of his violent on-screen counterparts. A survivor of severe childhood domestic abuse, His personal journey has been deeply rooted in activism, leading him to become a national spokesperson for the National Network to End Domestic Violence. His acting career, however, was marked by the persistent struggle of being typecast. Early on, he changed his surname from Rivas to Rivers to avoid being stereotyped by a rigid entertainment industry. Furthermore, his imposing stature and former background as a professional football player frequently resulted in the professional hardship of being strictly cast as gang warlords criminals or intimidating heavies, making it a constant challenge to secure more nuanced or diverse roles in Hollywood. Victor Rivers continued to work in television and film for decades, taking on roles in major movies like Hulk and The Air I Breathe, as well as appearing in recent acclaimed shows like Better Call Saul and The Pit. Outside of acting, he authored a powerful memoir and has enjoyed a long, stable personal life. He has been married to his wife, Mim Eichler Rivas, since 1988, and together they share a son, Eli, who pursued a career in law. At 70, he is an esteemed veteran actor and author who remains fiercely dedicated to his philanthropic work. He continues to balance his ongoing acting appearances with his enduring mission to end domestic abuse, ensuring his real-world legacy is just as impactful as his cinematic one. William Marquez as Fray Felipe. Born on March 14, 1943 in Havana, Cuba, the talented actor and choreographer first brought the compassionate clergyman to life in the swashbuckling 1998 adventure The Mask of Zorro. At the age of 55, Marquez's portrayal of Fray Felipe, the brave, righteous friar who fiercely protected Zorro and stood against Spanish oppression, added profound heart and moral grounding to the blockbuster hit. His memorable performance helped celebrate a classic archetype of selfless rebellion, contributing to the movie's massive success and its lasting cultural impact as one of the definitive modern swashbuckler films. In sharp contrast to the solemn, austere, and self-sacrificing friar he portrayed on screen, William Marquez is known in real life as a vibrant, energetic personality with a deep passion for dance, golf music, and his Cuban heritage. Friends have described him as incredibly engaging, fiercely loyal, and devoted to his family, a far cry from a quiet life of the cloth. Professionally, however, Marquez's journey was met with the frustrating reality of Hollywood typecasting. For many years, like a number of ethnic actors of his generation, he faced the struggle of being pigeonholed into limited supporting archetypes. He was frequently relegated to playing generic authority figures, police officers, and stereotypical Latino background roles before landing more prominent parts. Navigating an industry that frequently failed to see beyond his heritage meant he had to work tirelessly to break out of these confining molds and secure the meaningful character work he truly deserved. William Marquez continued to act steadily across both film and stage throughout the following decades, securing roles in notable films like Andy Garcia's The Lost City, 2005, and the Oscar-winning Crazy Heart, 2009, where star Robert Duvall personally championed his casting. Off-screen, he enjoyed a stable and fulfilling personal life alongside his wife Lenore. Transitioning to the next phase of his career, Marquez founded his own audition studio, dedicating himself to helping younger actors turn their hobbies into sustainable professional careers as an acting coach and mentor. At 83, Marquez has largely stepped back from major Hollywood productions to enjoy a quiet, contented life as a dedicated teacher, an avid reader, and a proud dog dad, leaving behind a legacy of resilience within the acting community. José María de Tavira as young Alejandro Murrieta. Born on September 27, 1983, the Mexico City native made his striking feature film debut in the swashbuckling Hollywood blockbuster The Mask of Zorro. At the age of 13, de Tavira's portrayal of the fiercely loyal and grief-stricken young bandit introduced audiences to the tragic backstory of the future hero. His performance perfectly laid the emotional foundation for Antonio Banderas' adult Alejandro, helping to anchor the 1998 blockbuster with real emotional stakes and contributing to a beloved cinematic classic that successfully revitalized the adventure genre. Despite the character's wild, orphaned, and vengeful nature, José María de Tavira was deeply academic, grounded, and raised in a highly respected theatrical family. Described by those who know him as a disciplined student of the arts, far removed from the rebellious street urchin he played, this contrast profoundly shaped his early journey. Following his high-profile Hollywood debut, de Tavira struggled with the heavy expectations placed on him and the looming danger of being typecast as a generic action sidekick or permanently sidelined as the young version of established stars. Finding substantial roles that matched his serious acting ambitions proved incredibly difficult in his teenage years, prompting him to step away from the Hollywood limelight entirely to study classical drama at Royal Holloway University of London, a challenging but necessary professional reset. José María de Tavira continued to work extensively in Mexican cinema, television, and theater, carving out a highly respected path on his own terms. Upon returning to Mexico, he earned immense praise for his starring role in the acclaimed romantic drama Tear This Heart Out, Arráncame la Vida, and found major success on television in series like Rosario Tijeras, the political thriller El Candidato, and the Apple TV Plus drama Midnight Family. He also expanded his footprint internationally with streaming films such as A Deadly Invitation and Perdida. At 42, he is alive and continues to thrive as a versatile leading actor and producer, successfully balancing high-profile English and Spanish language projects while maintaining a quiet, highly private personal life away from the tabloid glare. Pedro Armendáriz Jr. as Don Pedro. Born on April 6, 1940, the Mexico City native first brought his commanding presence to Mexican and Hollywood screens long before donning the period attire of a nobleman. At the age of 58, Armendáriz's portrayal of Don Pedro in the 1998 hit The Mask of Zorro became a memorable cultural touchstone, offering a cinematic depiction of a wealthy and complicit Spanish Don that was both formidable and captivating. As part of a massive blockbuster success, his performance helped anchor the swashbuckling epic, defining a character that remains a recognizable figure in one of the decade's most iconic action-adventure revivals. Despite the character's arrogant, aristocratic, and often cynical nature on screen, Pedro Armendáriz Jr. was intensely warm, highly respected, and described by those who knew him as the polar opposite of Don Pedro. This contrast was a significant part of his personal journey. Originally trained as an architect, he found playing deliberately ruthless or corrupt figures to be a stark divergence from his real-life wit and down-to-earth charisma. His career was also marked by the profound struggle of living in the immense shadow of his legendary father, Golden Age cinema star Pedro Armendáriz Sr., which for a period made it difficult for him to forge an independent reputation. Furthermore, he faced the professional hardship of being heavily typecast in Hollywood, frequently being relegated to playing stereotypical Mexican villains, cartel bosses, or corrupt military officials, rather than being offered roles that showcased his full dramatic range. Pedro Armendáriz Jr. continued to work prolifically in television and film for decades, marrying twice, raising several children, and remaining a beloved patriarchal figure in the Latin American arts. He took on major roles in critically acclaimed films such as The Crime of Father Amaro, appeared in international hits like Once Upon a Time in Mexico and The Legend of Zorro, and served as the president of the Mexican Academy of Film Arts and Sciences from 2006 to 2010. Armendáriz passed away at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center in New York City on December 26, 2011, at the age of 71 from eye cancer that had rapidly spread to his brain. His death was followed by a profound outpouring of grief across the international film community, and he notably became the first Mexican actor to be memorialized with the dimming of Broadway's marquee lights before being laid to rest alongside his father at Panteón Jardín in Mexico City. Maury Chaykin as prison warden. Born on July 27, 1949 in Brooklyn, New York, Maury Chaykin brought a memorable sense of menace to the swashbuckling adventure The Mask of Zorro in 1998. At the age of 48, Chaykin's portrayal of the cruel, corrupt prison warden added significant grit and dramatic weight to the film's opening act. His performance effectively established the brutal stakes of the Spanish colonial penal system, making the heroic efforts of Zorro all the more impactful and contributing to the film's massive success and enduring status as a classic action adventure. Despite frequently playing blustering, menacing, or boorish villains like the prison warden Chaykin, was known off-screen as a remarkably soft-spoken, sensitive, and deeply intelligent individual. This stark contrast between his gentle, real-life demeanor and his formidable screen presence was a defining aspect of his career. Professionally, Chaykin grappled with persistent typecasting, often finding himself relegated to playing quirky, eccentric, or physically imposing heavies due to his large stature. While he was a celebrated character actor in both the United States and Canada, his weight often limited the types of leading roles he was offered, making it an ongoing struggle to break out of the supporting character mold and showcase his full nuanced range in an industry heavily focused on conventional leading man aesthetics. Chaykin remained a prolific and highly respected figure in North American cinema, becoming a frequent collaborator with acclaimed director Atom Egoyan, and starring as the brilliant detective Nero Wolfe in the A&E series A Nero Wolfe Mystery, which garnered a devoted cult following. He settled into family life in Canada, marrying actress Susanna Hoffman and having a daughter, Rose. Sadly, his illustrious career was cut short due to declining health, including severe kidney issues. Maury Chaykin passed away in Toronto, Ontario, on July 27, 2010, on his 61st birthday, from complications related to a heart valve infection. His death sent shockwaves through the entertainment community, leading to numerous tributes from fellow actors and directors, and he posthumously received the ACTRA Toronto Award for his final television performance in Less Than Kind, solidifying his legacy as one of the industry's most versatile and beloved character actors. As the final notes of the Spanish guitar fade, we are reminded that while faces change and decades pass, the spirit of Zorro remains eternal. These actors did not just play roles, they defined a generation of swashbuckling adventure for us all. Which transformation surprised you the most, and whose career have you followed most closely since 1998? Share your memories in the comments below, hit that like button if you still love this classic, and subscribe for more nostalgic journeys through cinema history.